Hey guys, my name's Logan, or Cream Tag, and today I'm going to be going over what I think are the best first cars for car enthusiasts. So you're looking at getting your first car, and you may not know exactly what you want. You may have a couple of ideas in mind, but you don't really know for sure, and you just want some inspiration or ideas. And that's exactly what I'm going to give here today. I'm here to help you find the best car for the best price, get you something that's reliable, good to work on, and is a good foundation to start doing car mods and other things in the future after you buy it. So this list is no particular order. These are all kind of like good first starter cars, and I'll go over like pros and cons of each car and what I think would probably be the best one out of the whole list. So the first one I have on my list here is a 6th gen Civic. So you could either get the SI or the hatchback. I would probably stay away from the sedan. They're just not as sought after, and in my opinion, the coupe and the hatchback are just kind of a cooler platform and a better platform to build off of. Plus, there's more aftermarket support for them. So these cars, they're Hondas. Hondas can get a bad rep. If you know me, I've had a lot of Hondas over the past year or so, and I love them. I think, yes, they are slow, but if you really put a lot of money into them, you can make them quick. But they're great handling cars. They are the most reliable cars I've ever had, and they're a lot of fun. Even though they're slow, you can still have a lot of fun in them. Kind of like how people talk about the Miatas. My first car was a 2000 Civic Si, and I miss it. It was a great car. I would highly recommend those. They're a lot of fun, and you can get them anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 if you get one with low mileage and just that's in great shape. The next car that I have on the list is a Subaru Impreza. So I would recommend anything from the Bug-Eye to the Hawkeye. That's where you're gonna get your best kind of value for your dollar. They're an older car. They're a little bit newer than the Civic that I just mentioned. There's a lot of aftermarket support for them. The WRX, I would say, is probably the best out of all of them. It's all-wheel drive, and you get a turbo just from the factory. So you get to make that nice noise. And you get all-wheel drive, which is great in the winter, especially for beginner drivers. Now, these cars are infamous for blowing head gaskets. If that breaks, it can be detrimental to your engine and it can cause a lot of damage. If you catch it in time, you can replace it, but it does require you to pull the engine out of the car and completely pull it apart and redo it all. So if you're going to get a Subaru, I would recommend getting something that looks like it hasn't been beat up, looks to be in good shape, and has low mileage unless the engine was replaced. And if it has been, I would recommend getting something that's been replaced by a shop. A lot of people do these jobs and they don't do it properly, and it can be a big hole in your pocket later in terms of money when you go to have to replace all these things. Next up on the list, again, not a super reliable option, but still a great option if you want to get into drifting, and that's the E36 3 Series BMW. These cars are really fun to drive, really fun to drive in, and they are a luxury car. So they are gonna have probably a lot of features that maybe some other starter entry-level cars won't have. These cars are great if you maintain them. That is a big thing, and they can be big on maintenance. So if you're willing to put in the time and work in fixing them, it's a great car. They're very good drift platforms. You see E36s all the time in competitions like Formula Drift, and it's a great platform to build off of. Personally, I would recommend to get a 325i, the coupe, or like a 328. The 325, I would say like the first kind of generation of the E36. The first one had the M50 and the second one had the M52. Just two different engines, and the M50 is a bit more stronger, and it has a single Vano system, which is similar to VTEC in a way, which is variable valve timing. Maybe a little bit older, but for a little bit stronger of an engine, it is definitely worth it. It is hard to deny that it is a good platform to start building for drift. Just be aware of the reliability factor.
Oh my god!
You could probably find a manual one for under 8 grand, which is a lot, but that's like, you could get a rust-free one for probably under 8 grand. The next on the list, and this is personally my favorite and what I will always say to anyone who is looking, maybe has a bit more of a budget than a Civic, but still wants a good, reliable, decent on gas, easy to work on car that has a good aftermarket support, and that is the Acura Integra or the RSX. So these are two different cars, but I put them in the same ball group because they're similar. They are the same family. The Integra is the grandfather to the RSX, but they're both very similar cars in terms of how they drive, how they handle, and how reliable they are. I own an Integra myself, as many of you guys know. It is my favorite car that I've ever owned. I've owned around 7 cars in the past 2 years, and the Integra is my favorite. That's my baby. That is what I'm known for. So the Type R, the Integra Type R, which is basically the exact same thing as just your base model Integra, except it had a different wing, it had a 5-lug pattern, and it had a more upgraded engine, more powerful engine that had VTEC. These cars are incredibly light, and it is recognized as the best front-wheel drive car ever made. Thinking, well, who wants front wheel drive? And I'm gonna say, after having had both rear wheel drive and front wheel drive, if you're not wanting to specifically get into drifting, get a front wheel drive car. They handle better, and they're better in the snow. This again is a great thing for if it's your first car and you are more learning how to handle the conditions, maybe not used to winter driving. Front wheel drive is the way to go. These cars are, I cannot stress this enough, the best handling car for this price range. Yeah, so these cars handle great, are super reliable, have great aftermarket support, and you can pick one up anywhere from 2 grand to 7 grand depending on condition of the car, how many miles it's got, and if it's auto or manual. I would highly recommend getting a manual because they are slow vehicles, so having that manual transmission gives you more control over the car and just makes it more enjoyable to drive. Overall, the Integra or the RSX, I didn't really mention the RSX as much, but it kind of fits in that same ballpark of handling, reliability. They're easy to work on, good aftermarket support. Like, they're just great cars. The next car on the list is the 5th gen Toyota Celica, or really any Celica in general. Right now, I'm filming this inside of my Celica. It's a 5th gen, so it's a 1993 Toyota Celica GTS. These cars range anywhere from 2 grand to around 5 grand, depending on, again, condition, whether it's automatic or manual, and the miles. They're great little cars. They're slow. It's the slowest car I've ever owned, but it handles great, it drives great, and it's, in my opinion, the best daily that I've owned. So it's got power windows, power locks, it's got power lumbar support, so you can adjust the lumbar in the seats, and they're good on gas. And the 5th gen Celica has pop-ups. They're just fun and cool. Now, really, any gen of Celica is going to be reliable. It's by Toyota. Toyota makes really reliable cars, but the 5th gen is going to be my favorite. Next on the list is an Audi A4. So these cars are a good, like, starter luxury car, luxury sports car. They are a European car, again, like the BMW. They're not the most reliable in the world, and they are difficult to work on, but if you get one in good shape and you treat it well, it will last a good while, and it is a lot of fun. Some of them even came with all-wheel drive, which is great. And the last car on the list is going to be the Mitsubishi Eclipse. So a lot of people know these cars from Fast and Furious. If you're familiar with the movies, Brian drove a first gen Eclipse in the first Fast and Furious movie. The second generation was also featured in the second Fast and Furious movie. They're good cars, they're a good platform to work off of. There's not a crazy amount of aftermarket support, but they're fun, they're cool looking cars, and they're not too expensive either. You can find these cars for probably less than 5 grand, at least in the area I am in. So all these prices that I've said for all of these cars, these are all kind of generalized to my local area. I'm from Canada, so these prices are from my area, and in Canadian, of course, if you're in the States, you're gonna have different prices there, or any other countries, you're gonna see different prices for all these vehicles. The best way to figure out what a car is gonna cost is to look it up. Go on places like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or Kijiji. These are all really common places where people buy and sell used cars. If you just look for a while, you pay attention to what the cars are worth in your area, you're gonna find what is a good deal and what is not a good deal. So that's it. Those are the cars I would highly recommend getting for your first one. They're all great cars. I would drive any one of them. I have driven a couple of them. A lot of those, like the Civic, the Integra, and the Celica, those are all speaking from my own personal experience owning the cars. I hope you enjoyed the video. If there's anything else you'd like to add or any comments you may have, please feel free to leave those in the comments section down below. Remember to subscribe, turn that notification bell on, and like the video if you enjoyed it and it helped you out at all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.